Hey everybody, and welcome back to Investment Honey, where we talk about various crypto projects. We are on day, I think it's 13 of the Dexscreener series. So welcome back. And if you're new to the series, thank you so much, for joining us on this series as we, try to go ahead and find tokens early through Dexscreener, through that platform and the filters that we set. So if you are rejoining us, maybe you've been following along, since the beginning. Thank you so much for continuing to follow along, in the series. So with that being said, you can tell just right away, we got a lot of tabs to go ahead and look through. So we do have more review today than we've had in the last couple of days. So again, if you're new, I would certainly encourage you to go back to day one of the series just to kind of understand, what's going on in terms of how we are operating, in the series. But the format for today, we're going to go ahead and take a look, at the tabs that we've got open. This is going to essentially be a reflection, of the alerts that have been set for some reason. And I've been messing around with this morning. It says there's 7 alerts, but we've got way more than 7 alerts, sitting in here. So not really sure what's going on with that. But either way, it doesn't really matter, as far as what the number is, as long as the alerts that we've set are still here. That's the main concern. But again, I've gone through the alerts this morning just to go ahead and, open up these tabs. And we're going to talk about them. We're going to take a look at what's going on because, whenever we set these alerts, we want to go back and see how things are going, whether it's positive, whether it's not. The alerts, again, they give us indicators and they help us to understand, maybe what's going on in terms of the upward movement or downward movement on a chart, so that we can obviously, catch some opportunities, possibly. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. And, then once we're done with the tabs and the review, then we'll go into setting the filters and moving on into seeing what's going on new, on the blockchain and different chains today. So this is one we looked at, I think, a couple of days ago. It's Truck Drive. If we look at the alerts here, we have this set at 138K. So, and this was obviously disabled because it was triggered. It went over 170K. So we're now sitting at 170, not 174, but 147 on the market cap. So with that being said, we can see what's going on here in terms of the chart. They've already had a couple of runs, one here, and then we had another one here. And I've said before in another video that once we've got a couple of runs, on the chart, it is difficult, to continue to repeat that same pattern of a run, retracement, run, retracement, So here, even though it looked like this had signs, where maybe it was going to break out a bit, we can see that retracement again. And I think looking at this, I would be skeptical to believe that this one is going to jump out and get back to these highs, again. Now, I'm not saying that it's a hardline rule that if it runs a couple of times that it can't do it, but it is a much harder thing to achieve, and I've looked at a ton of charts, just in my time, in this, in the space. And like I said, it's going to be a tough thing to do to get back to these previous all-time highs. So with that being said, I'm actually going to remove this one, from our watch list. And if you are somebody that's setting the same alerts that I am, that's fine. You can decide to continue to watch this one. That's up to you. But for me personally, I'm going to remove this one because I think it's going to be pretty tough for them to get back here. So, and that's just my own personal opinion. If you are somebody that's, watching this one and wants to continue to watch it, feel free. If at any point in time, if this one actually does break back out, feel free to send me a message and let me know. Okay, so we're going to close that one out. This one we talked about, yesterday and the day before, ZK-GPT. Now, I did say that I felt like the fact that it was holding, for the last couple of days, I thought that was a positive sign, especially considering that the market has not been that great. Now, I think BTC is sitting at like 97K as of today. And so I don't know if that's going to mean, there's going to be a bounce back in terms of the market. I mean, I tend to think, when we head into the weekends, you tend to see more of a pullback, in a lot of tokens. So, but the fact that this one is still hanging in there, and you guys know when we talked about this initially, looking at this launch candle right here, and then it just kind of sat, up here in this area. And I'm not really crazy about that. I felt for certain that this was going to continue to retrace. Now we have seen lower lows, but this one, even here, right here, it decided to, we had a pretty decent, sell candle. It did come back up with some buy pressure, and that's what we want to continue to see. We want to see that buy pressure, okay? So continue to go up, and then we see that retracement. So My main concern, when we started talking about this one initially, is that you got people that got in down here. They're obviously, massively in profit, so, and I know with this particular launch, you could only get smaller amounts of the supply just because they operated, with a whitelist launch, so there were a number of people that had whitelists and were able to go ahead and buy in before it released to the public. So those people definitely are in profit if they haven't sold yet. So my concern was if they continue to, they're waiting for more buy pressure and then they'll go ahead and they'll sell. I thought we would have seen more sells at this point, but again, it wasn't a hard line, thing that I was seeing with any kind of guarantee. It was just simply, looking back on my experience and what I typically see on charts, that you would see, a lot of sells just because people were waiting for more buy pressure, and as that buy pressure came in, then there will be sells. Now we are seeing evidence of that there is retracement when you do see the buy pressure, here, even and definitely here, so, and then you get it again here. Now, if this one, develops a pretty decent buy candle, I think you're going to see some sells, back on this one as well. However, if it was me personally, I'd be looking for a better entry than, these levels right here. I'd be probably looking for something down in this area as far as an entry, if I were to take an entry in this one myself. So, but with that being said, let's take a look at the alerts, and we can see we got two here. They're both disabled. So obviously at one point this went under 600, and at one point this went over 725. So right now we're looking at 676. Now, looking here, okay, so this is since the last time we spoke, which is yesterday's video. It did touch, over 900. So obviously that's encouraging because we're getting closer to the all-time highs, back up here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and we're going to definitely adjust the under alert. So this one, we put this in at 681. We're going to adjust this to 676, okay? And if we're at 676, I set this at 600. So I don't know that I want to keep 600 just because, I am encouraged that, they are seeing, they are being able to, keep, pretty much a decent level, in spite of what the market's been doing. But like I said, for me, I'm looking for a lower entry, for this one, if it was me looking to go ahead and jump into this one. So even though I set this at 600, I am going to keep a closer eye on this chart. So I'm actually going to set this a little higher at 625. And when it gets to 625, if it gets there, then I'll take a look at this one again and readjust if I need to. But I think if it does, just looking at it, one of my concerns is it's dipping, but there continues to be buy pressure. So I'm skeptical as to whether it's going to get to 600. So we're going to take a look at it at 625 and see what it looks like from there. That's just my own, I'm just thinking out loud here. And for this one, 725, we're going to leave it at 725 right now. So I'm just going to reset this. Okay, so we can see both of these alerts now are active again. All right, so I'm going to leave this one alone. And then we're looking at, I think this one we looked at yesterday. So, and this was the meme of the year. Okay, so let's look at the alerts, and both of these are disabled. So at one point it went under 140, at one point it went over 190, but now we're currently sitting at 58. So I can't see what this tab is saying just because we've got so many open. So we'll just have to rely on what's going on over here. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at this chart again. Right now, because we're sitting at 58 and it's such a deep, it's deviated a lot, from the original alerts. I think for this one, we're going to let this one go. So I'm going to go back into the alerts. I'm going to delete both of these, and we're not going to pay attention to this one anymore. Okay, so we're going to close this one out. Beretta, this one again is the one base chain token that we talked about. Remember, I haven't really done much on base yet in this series. So this one I said yesterday that I was going to set an alert because even at these bottom levels, and considering it's the sister to Brent, right? This one I thought may be worth taking a look at, continuing to take a look at. So even though it was sitting at bottom levels, right? So one of the things I mentioned yesterday was that I think I talked about it possibly hitting 35, because I think I set an alert for 35. Either way, I took a screenshot of this because it did actually touch 35, right? So, and you got two options here. Either it's going to continue to go back up or it's going to come back down, okay? So if we take a look at the chart, what has happened here, obviously, and we'll zoom in, on the candles here. We can see that obviously, this is where it made its high yesterday, was around this area, okay? And then there was retracement. Now, why was there retracement? Obviously, because people that maybe they may have been in a loss, at these lower levels. They're looking for, you to essentially be exit liquidity, so, but also understand what happens, if this continues to, slowly over time head back up. Some of these people, that may have, dipped out of it, may decide to go and jump back in. But at this point, the risk of buying at this level is that typically people that are in loss are looking to mitigate those losses. And if we look at the chart in total, we can see the buys, the retracement, buys, retracement, buys, retracement, buys, retracement, buy here, and then continued retracement all the way down. And there's probably a bunch of people that are in loss at this point. So if they're seeing any kind of hope to mitigate those losses, that's what they're doing, when they see this kind of, pattern right here in terms of the buys. They are reducing, they're trying to go, if they're still holding on to essentially what's dust at this point, they're recouping some of their losses at, a little bit through those buys that are coming in at this level. So just be aware that, for a chart like this, which is why I'm not necessarily interested in taking an entry, at these levels, but I am interested in watching to see, because I'm not trying to be anybody's exit liquidity. So, and neither of you should be, be looking for that either. So, but what you could do, like I said, if it's me, you could make small buys, which we're talking like, like what's going on right here. Right. And this is just one wallet, so I don't really know what's going on there, but you could just do, a few bucks here and there. And then obviously, if somebody decides to go ahead and sell on the buys, then at least you're not in total loss right away, at least not in big losses, right? So as you are making smaller buys, you're definitely increasing your position over time. And then maybe, again, this is speculation, if it moves into, a pattern where there are continued buys and we start to get to some of these higher levels where it looks like there's hope that it's going to break out, then obviously you've already been accumulating a little bit at these lower levels and building a position, in this for the possibility, and I say that speculatively, that it starts to go ahead and head back up into maybe some of these levels here. Okay, so with that being said, we've got the alerts, so this one, alert me when the market cap goes over 35, where are we currently sitting at? I think 25, I think. Okay, so 25. So as far as this alert is concerned, it makes sense to keep this alert. So I don't need to set another alert. I don't want to set it for an under because it doesn't make any sense sitting at where it's already at. So we're just going to go ahead and click on this button to reset the alert. All right, so there we go. So that's that on Bretta. Okay, now looking at pair, the only reason I'm bringing this back up is because I talked about it, some days ago. This is the one that I set on the main channel, that I called on the main channel, and I think I called it at 3 million. So it's been really kind of, and even on the call that I made, I said that I like the fact that it was pretty much keeping these levels. It's done a great job keeping these levels in spite of what the market has looked like. So when you still see buy pressure and you're not really seeing it, anybody dump hard, into lower levels beyond what we're seeing, here. Okay, so right now we're sitting at 2.2. Do I think this has the possibility of getting back to 3? Absolutely. But again, it's not a guarantee. It's just if, it's us looking at the pattern of what we see here, and it's making an educated guess. Okay, because we don't know for sure. But the nice thing is that we're seeing continued buy pressure, on this chart, and we've been seeing it since we've been talking about it. So even though it's dipped, to areas around 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 million, it continues to still, make its way to break above that 2 million mark. So, so on this alert, on the alerts that I've got, this one's still active. Alert me when it goes under 1 million. So, and since I've set that alert, which was created 5 days ago, it triggered 4 days ago, right? And then we went ahead and and I don't know if I did on video, but I went ahead and I re-enabled the alert. But it's been 4 days since it's seen this level, so I'm still going to keep it there just because it's still a possibility that it could get to 1 million, but again, right now I'm not really seeing, that in terms of, sell pressure. So, but right now, we're sitting at 2.2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually set another under alert, which I haven't tried to do this. I think you can set it, but we'll see this. So we're gonna do it, first here. And if I can't set it here, then I'll just go ahead and adjust this one. But I think that I can. So we're going to set it for we're going to set it for 1.9. Okay. Remember, I can't go ahead and put that point in there. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And so right now, this one, the note we're going to make is 2.2 million. Okay, so because I thought you could set more than one under. Yeah, you can. So here's what we're doing. I'm staggering these alerts, at least for the under alert. Because it continues to go over and under this line of 2 million, it just makes sense for me to, I think, create, this alert so that I can kind of keep a closer eye in terms of what's going on with it. Now, for you, you may think, I'm not going to go ahead and, set a bunch of alerts, on the same token like that. But for me, I think this is going to be helpful for me to continue to keep a closer eye on this one. So this is now active and this one's active too. I actually think I'm going to move this one to 1.5. Okay. Again, just keeping a closer eye on it. There we go. And then this one, we're going to keep this one disabled because right now it's over 2 million. This is kind of, where it's hovering. And if we're looking for an entry, it makes more sense for us to pay attention to the under alerts than the over alert. So that's going to be my mindset in terms of setting that alert. Okay, so exiting out, and there we go. So we're done on that one. Claude, the reason why I bring this one back up is because you can see we've got some movement on Claude. Okay, so we were down at this level right here, which is basically around 119, 120. Well, actually, not even, it's really around a 111 at the time that 110, 111, where we see that there is activity on this one now. Could this indicate, and this is again why we talk about these alerts, because we're trying to figure out, if we're watching something and we're not sure if it's going to head back up or not, this could be an indicator. Now, do I think it's going to go up from here? I've always said, since you guys have been following me on this in this series, that these kind of candles right now, if I go ahead and I zoom in on this, these kind of candles typically don't stay here. So do I believe there's going to be some sell pressure? Absolutely. Do we got some sells going on? Absolutely. Are they heavy sells? No, they're not. So I think in terms of setting alerts for this one, because this continues to be one to watch, especially since when we started watching this, originally, the level wasn't too bad, okay, and then obviously it took off. I think it was still in the 100K, area when we started watching this, and then it took off, to almost 800K, and then we've seen continued retracement, right? So we're still seeing some sells, but the sells are pretty reasonable, okay? And then we can look over here in this arena. On the 5-minute, we're still looking at, some minuses, which obviously that's reflected here in the buy transaction area. And then on the 1 hour, 6 hour, and 24 hour, everything's green across the board. So when we look at the alerts, all right, so we're going to go ahead and look at the under, okay? So the under here right now, we're going to change this posted market cap, and that's going to be at 191, okay? So that's 191K, and let's see here. I'd actually be interested in this one. I think in like the one, you could do 160, 170. Let's do one. We'll compromise. We'll make it 165. So let's see if it makes its way back down a little bit. And I personally think that there's a good chance that it could go back down because you typically see a lot of retracement on a lot of tokens, during the weekend. So we're going to go ahead and leave it there, 165. Now, the other thing is there a possibility for this to go up? Absolutely. But like I said, when you're looking at buy candles like this, these typically don't stay there. If somebody thinks that the buying has stalled, on this, and let's say that you're in loss, you're hoping for more buy pressure because obviously that might help you to get back to break even, depending on how far down you are in terms of the plus minus, on your investment, but if this continues to sit here, somebody's going to make a pretty decent sell because I believe that you still have people that are in larger losses than 40, than 50 bucks here and 50 bucks here. And you got $75 here, on this one. I think there are probably still people that are in larger losses, but you got some glimmer of hope because you can see that there's buy pressure here. But like I said, I'm of the mindset this is going to continue to go down, and that could lead, to the possibility of a better entry. But the question then remains, will people continue to be interested to buy into this token to potentially get back into some of these levels, over here, okay, which could mean, recovery, because obviously what we've seen, after it hit its high, we see a lot of correction, a lot of consolidation, and that's what led to, this retracement, okay? So, but with that being said, we've already gone ahead and set that one alert. We'll set an over alert on this one as well. And all right, so right now we're at 191. Let's go ahead, because I don't really need much of an indicator on this one. So let's go to 215, and 191 is our posted market cap, on that one. So there we go. So we're going to leave this one alone now. And for Aura, obviously this is one we've been watching too. Okay, like what I'm seeing here in terms of, where it's been since we talked about this yesterday. Okay, so if we look at the chart, or not the chart, but the alert. So this has been disabled. So obviously this triggered because it went over 325. Currently the market cap on this one's 420, and that's also matched here. Now that we can see the more information on the tab at 420 as well. So because again, for me personally, I'm looking at weekend patterns. I'm gonna speculate that this is gonna go down. Now understand, don't just look at what I'm telling you and then think it's a guarantee that it's going to go down, because I don't want to hear anybody complain about the fact that hey, you said it was going to possibly go down and it went up. Look, all I'm telling you is information. It's a guide. You still have to make your own assessment in terms of what you think it's going to do on your own. I'm just going off of my own experiences, and when I tell you about my own experiences, I have constantly reiterated it's not a freaking guarantee. Okay, it's not a guarantee. You're taking what you see, over a span of looking at a ton of charts, and you're trying to make an educated guess based on the patterns. But none of us can see the future. Okay, so when I see people constantly getting mad at influencers talking about how what they said this or that. Now there are some influencers out there that say they buy this coin, it's going to go ahead and blow up. You're never going to hear me say some stuff like that. But I'm going to tell you what I think, and that's all I can do. At that point, it's up to you to go ahead and make a decision. And that means it's your decision to make, not me, or not something, not a situation where you can go ahead and look back and say, hey, it's my fault that I went ahead and I put some information out there. Because I'm never telling you anything definitively. It's all speculation. It's all what I think. It's all a possibility. So I put that disclaimer out there for you, for anybody looking at these videos and what I am communicating in these videos when I talk about what I'm seeing on the chart. Okay, and I leave the same kind of disclaimers across all my channels, in terms of whatever I put out there, whether you make wins on the calls, whether you're in loss on the calls, it's all just a matter of what I think based on my experiences. Okay, so now that I'm off on that tangent, all right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to set the alert here, and I'm setting, let's see, I'm going to market cap, going under. Okay, and here we go. So we're at 420. I'm going to actually set this for 375. Actually, you know what? I'm going to deviate even further to 350. Okay. So, and this is at 420K. Okay. So there we go. So we're setting this under alert at 420K. That's the posted market cap for it to trigger at 350. Okay. So there we go. And now for the over alert, here's the thing. Looking at this chart right now, I'm not really interested in the over. I'm only interested in the under, because again, I wouldn't be personally interested in taking an entry at this point. There are people that don't mind, buying in at the top, and there's a strategy to do that. If you're going to buy in at the top and you think that, hey, there's a possibility for it to go down, like I told you guys, I think it was yesterday or the day before, this is the reason why bots are great, because especially MaestroBot. You go ahead and you put an entry in maybe at 420K for like $5. If it was me, that's what I would do. You put it in for $5, and then if it goes down, let's say that it triggers, that 350K level that I set on the alert, then what I may go ahead and do is put in a larger buy, because now I get a better entry. And then if it continues to retrace, then I can go ahead and DCA if I want to go ahead and do that. Okay. But there is no way on earth I am putting in a large buy at this point on the candle, or on the chart, just because if it goes down, I'm immediately in loss, especially if I go in with a large buy, which doesn't make any sense to me. Now, if you think that there's a bunch of volume and there's not a ton of volume on this chart, and it's just going to go up from here, that's one thing, especially, if you're dealing with a newer launch, right? But that's not what we're dealing with here. So like I said, I think this one's probably going to go down. And if it was me, I'd go ahead, like I mentioned yesterday. And if you missed yesterday's video, that's where I talked about, putting in a dip buy alert, through the bot. So that's what I would do if it was me. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and leave this one alone. And then Frosky's one we talked about, as well. But obviously you can see, this was days ago. There's just been continued retracement, and then we got, some buy pressure. You can see that right here. So this was down, and then we get a nice buy candle, and then it's kind of been holding right here. This is one of those charts that I think is just kind of risky right now in terms of, you know, whether I would take an entry. Again, like I said in the last one, you could go ahead and make a very, very small buy, you know, anything like, you know, $1 to $5, if that's what I would do if it was me. And then if it continues to go up, you know, great. But like I said, you know, just looking at how people go ahead and trade, you know, from like Friday to Monday, my thought process is this is probably going to go ahead and continue to retrace, you know. Now, again, there are outliers. There are charts, you know, on the weekends that actually go bananas, you know, on a weekend, but that's not the norm, you know. So what's going to happen here? I think this is going to continue to retrace, you know, personally, but we'll see. So we're sitting at 175, and the under alert is at 275. So obviously I haven't touched this one in a little bit. So I'm going to, I think that if this one goes under 100, it's toast. So that's just my own personal feeling about this. So we're going to set this at 175K. And I'm not interested in setting an up alert, you know. So this one I'm actually going to delete. Okay, so that's all we're going to do on Frosky. All right, and then this is one that we didn't come across this together, you know, in the series, you know, but this is one I watched on my own, and it's continued to retrace, you know, but it hasn't been like heavy stuff. So, however, I think that if this retraces much more for me personally, I'm probably going to stop watching this one. So I'm just bringing this up as one of the alerts that I took a look at before starting the video recording today. So this one, let's see here. We saw this at 67, and again, the retracement since I set the original alert 5 days ago, you know, hasn't been terrible. It's been kind of like a slow bleed, if you will, okay? But what's encouraging is that it hasn't been a dump, okay? So for this one, I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to say if this one dips into the 30K area, I think this one's done, okay? So, and I'm going to adjust this one to say 49K, okay? So there we go. And the over alert, I still think this is relevant here. So this, now we're going to set this at 49, and I want to see this. Let's see. I think if it, you know, again, the alerts, what are they? They're indicators, you know. So I'm going to set this one at 70K. I think that if it can move up another 20K, especially on the weekend, I think it might be something worth, you know, taking a closer look at. So there we go on that one. So we're going to close that out. Fusk is one I wanted to bring back up because obviously we saw this one. I remember we saw this one at 118K. This one touched 1.1 million, I think, at the high. Actually, I'm wrong about that because 1.1 would have been like right here. It actually went a lot higher than that. So we're looking at like 1.3 million, you know, from the original posted market cap, you know, where we found it at 118K. So this one did massively well. You know, this one was over 10x, you know, in terms of the find here. You know, which again is part of what we're doing in this series. We want to try to find these tokens early so that there is potential, you know, for gains should you decide to jump into, should you decide to go and jump into a token. So we see minuses across the board, minus here, bigger minus here, a huge minus here. You know, we're looking at almost minus 60% on the 24-hour. So is it possible that this can start to head back up? I don't know. It's not looking good, and considering we're looking like this going into a weekend, I think you're going to see continued retracement. We're seeing more and more sells. Every time a buy comes in, you know what's going to happen? There's going to be big sells, just because that's what you're seeing, massive sell pressure. And you can see here, there's a buy, but what happened? It was followed by sells, right? And we see a bunch of sells here. Any buys coming in, it's just sell after sell after sell. So keep in mind, at this point, any buys are going to be exit liquidity, people trying to mitigate the losses. And this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about when I've mentioned that before, that when you're looking at a chart like this, bottom levels, and this has not hit the floor yet, but it's headed there, okay? And even though we're still sitting at a pretty decent market cap of 306, it's going to take a pretty decent catalyst, you know, for this one to start to head back up. Now, I think that if it can maybe hit 400, you're going to see people probably reversing their sentiment on this one and probably starting to buy into the chart again. Now, assuming that there isn't some, you know, massive dump, you know, once it starts to make, you know, any kind of, you know, if it starts to possibly, you know, correct itself on this chart, you know, then I think it may have a chance to go ahead and get back up, you know, to some higher levels. But right now, I am very speculative. You know, I'm just not too sure this is going to go ahead and do that. You know, looking at where we are right now, looking at the weekend pattern in terms of, you know, how people trade, I think you're going to continue to see this one go down. So we're going to, we're going to adjust this alert. Obviously this triggered 4 days ago. Okay, so we're going to set this alert. We're at 306 right now. I'm going to set it for 250. Okay, because I think there is a chance that this will actually retrace to that level, maybe even further. We're going to move this 306, 1 million to 306K. So there we go. And that's it. Now, I will set an over alert on this one because I want to watch to see if this one actually does correct itself, from these levels. So we've got it going over, and we're going to see, like I said, I want to see this one. Let's see if it can get to, 400. 400, I think, is a pretty good indicator that it could decide to move back up. And again, we're 306 is what we're setting this at. But you can see, just even since I've been setting that alert, what do you got? You got a $255 sell here, you got a $300 sell here, and that's the pattern right now. And it's going to continue to retrace, is what I believe. Now, we'll see. Somebody's obviously got to go ahead and take the risk to see, if they can start to move this back up. But the sentiment on the chart is changing. That would obviously, that may translate into what's going on in the channel as well. So all these are, signals to you in terms of, what's going on with the chart. Okay, so we're going to exit out of that one. And then for this one, what is this? This is Purple Doge. Okay, so I've been watching this one. We've been talking about this one for days. So this one, we found this one under 100K. Obviously, it took off, and then it retraced heavy as low as, like under 30K. And then it started to make some moves again. And now it's back into retracement mode, so we're seeing some buys, we also got some sells, but it does, this part of it looks pretty balanced, but then we get a wall of sells, here. So this one is one I'm still curious about, just because, it's Doge, and we can see that obviously, there was a pretty decent run. And then even when it hit bottom levels, it still took off again, so this is one that's still a curious one for me. Now this is a 48K, and let's see here. Do I think it's going to continue to retrace? I actually think 48K is a pretty decent market cap, not to look for retracement, but to look for it to possibly take off again, maybe. But remember what I've said before, when you've got tokens that go ahead and go on a run, and then they retrace, they go on a run, and they retrace, and they go on a run, you can't keep there. You don't have a lot of tokens that can continue to pull that off, so this one, again, unless you've just got an army, it's in a channel where it's like, their attitude is, we are not giving up. And they continue to bring, a chart back, from heavy retracement back up into newer highs. Again, that's just not something you come across very often, but what we're going to do, we're going to adjust this one to, actually, let's see here. We're going to edit this. We're going to say it goes over. And we're at 48K, so we're going to leave this at 75, and we're going to go ahead and click it. We're going to save it, but we're going to adjust this first to say 48K. Okay, so there we go on that one. Okay, so with that being said, that is going to do it in terms of the review section, of today's video. And I'm going to pause this real quick, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get into setting the filters to find some opportunities today. All right, guys, now that we're back, I just had to go ahead and pause and walk away for a minute. So we're going to go ahead and take a look, here at the filters. So let's go ahead. I think we're going to focus on Solana today. So here we go. We're checking that off. And here we're going to go to Radium, click Save, and then we're going to our market cap. So we're going to start out at the standard 50,000. We're going to go to 200K today. And on the pair age, I don't know, let's start out at something like 3 hours. No, let's start at 4 hours. 4 hours, and let's go to 20 hours. And then on the change, we're going to do 10% as usual. I'm going to click Apply. So here we go. And all right. So remember, like I mentioned yesterday, if we see tokens with a question mark, they don't have an image right here, more than likely it's a scam. We can go ahead and open them up just to go ahead and kind of prove my point, because I haven't been wrong yet. All right, so no socials here, and the chart looks awful, okay? And here, Cashify, no socials again. So, and we can see this has been alive for 13 hours, and this is what you got in terms of your chart, and we got no socials, so these are ones we want to stay away from. Okay, so just be aware of that. The 24-hour here is already checked off, and we wanted to see by doing that, what tokens have shown the most growth, in that time frame. Okay, so we're just going to open some up and take a look at the charts and go from there. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we're going to do that, and here we're not going to go to this one. Okay, so here we are, and again we're going to go straight through. We're just going to look at the charts real quick. I'm going to go ahead and change this over to 5 minute, because I think based on the time frame that we chose, that 4 to 20 hour, 1 hour is probably not going to help us see as much of the chart. So we're going to go through and make sure that we adjust all of that real quick. Also making a quick check here to make sure we got socials, as well. So we got socials there. Let's go over to the 5 minute. And here we got socials, good. So, okay, 5 minutes, great. And then we've got socials here, good. All right, we're going to 5 minutes so we can see more of what's going on. Socials, great. Okay, we got socials here as well. And we don't have a Telegram, so we're going to leave this one alone. All right, and okay, this one's okay. We got the 5 minute, good. And then this one, no socials, so we're going to leave this one alone. Okay, so this is essentially what we're dealing with in terms of the rest. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at what's going on in each of these channels, respectively. And we're making a decision in terms of whether we want to set some alerts on each one of these. So here we go. So this is Owl Feed. I'm going to take a look at the channel. Okay, I'm going to uncheck that. Okay, so here we are. We do get a portal, which is good. All right, we're going to click on start. All right, so here we are. We got just over 1,200 members in the group. So let's see what's going on in this one. Okay, so when was the last buy on this one? That's the first thing I want to see. 11:23, so we're at 11:27 on my computer clock. So we're still within that 10-minute window as far as that's concerned. So that's good to see. What do we got going on in terms of pinned messages? Okay, so not a lot going on in terms of pinned messages. Okay, got some rules here. All right, and this one doesn't even make any sense. Okay, supplies locked for a year. Okay, but I don't see anything going on in terms of trying to increase the exposure for the token. I don't see any rating going on. No engagement by the community. Okay, so this is one. I would be I've got some speculation in regards to this one, not some speculation, but some apprehension in regards to this one, just because I don't really see anything going on that's really helping to increase the exposure for the token, so the chart doesn't look horrible. I mean, we see some retracement, going on, but also even in this retracement, we do see some buy pressure returning, and then further retracement, some buy pressure here. So, and when we look over here, I don't like seeing all these minuses. So we got minus on the 10 minute. This was a minus, here on the 1 hour, and then a big minus, almost 50% on the 6 hour. This big, percentage increase, on the 24 hour, that's essentially reflecting this area right here. Okay. So with that being said, I personally think this is probably going to go ahead and, retrace, over the course of the weekend. That's just my personal opinion on this one. I'm not interested in setting an alert on this one. But again, if you're interested in following along, following this one and taking a closer look at it, because again, there are times where I decide not to follow a token and I am absolutely wrong, but remember, this right here is called Owl Feed. You can always go ahead and just copy the name of it, go into search right here, and you can paste it in here. And all you're doing is just matching up the market cap. 147, market cap is 150 here. This is the same one. So just keep that in mind, because obviously I'm not pasting each CA for you in the description. So since you know the name of it, if you want to follow along with this one, feel free after the video is already uploaded to YouTube. So we're going to close this one out on Furry. This is Furry Coin. Okay, so we got a Telegram. But we got a couple of minuses here, big minus on the 5 minute, and a big minus, on the 1 hour, 25% and up to 40%, so, but obviously they launched, really, really low levels here. So if you were somebody that got in early, like right here, and it was there, I mean, for a while, for a good bit, okay, before it actually took off, so imagine getting in here and then selling, even anywhere in this area. That's some pretty good gains. So this really just looks like, retracement, from people that may have, lost opportunities to go ahead and sell, maybe at these higher levels. So I don't know. Let's see what's going on in the Telegram on this one. So let's see. All right, so we get a portal. I'm going to go ahead and like clear a lot of this other stuff out. I'm going to click on start. Okay, so we get our link, and we got just over 100 members, in here. So last buy was at 11:30, so that just came in. Okay, do we have anything going on? Okay, so countdown to the fight of the year, epic showdown between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, maybe, I don't know. Market calendars, for the 21st, so that's today. Main card starts here. So, okay, so obviously this is a fight coin. Okay, so, and let's see here. Once we hit 250K, we're going all in with soul trending and more. So they're looking to maybe, do some additional things in terms of exposure, but not a lot going on in terms of pin messages, So, okay, so we're going to go back out here. Maybe let's go ahead and let's set an alert on it and let's see what's going on because we're still getting some buys. Okay, so we're at a pretty decent market cap at 56K. Now we're seeing, less, on the 5 minute. This was at like 25, 26%. Now it's at 12.5. So set an alert. And since we're going to go straight to market cap, and I'm going to set it under. Okay, so we're going to set this at 45K. Okay, 45,000, and then we're going to set this at 56 for the posted market cap. And then on the over, let's go ahead. Let's set this at 75. Okay, and we're setting this 50. Oops. All right, there we go. 56. Okay, so the alerts now are set on that. I'm going to leave this one alone since we're already good to go there. And this one's AI, artificial intelligence. So I like what's going on here with the chart, just at a first glance. We're going to go into the channel. Let's check and see what's going on here. Okay, so this is our entry into the portal. So we'll get launch here. And remember, for any of these, if they're ever asking for your phone number, I mentioned this in several videos back. If they're asking for a phone number, that's immediately a sign of a scam. So do not ever enter information in a safeguard portal. Okay? So let's look at the last buy. Last buy was at 11:32. That just came in. Okay, and let's see. Are they doing anything in terms of raids? Because we're looking for exposure. What are they trying to do to increase exposure? Of the token. Okay, so not seeing anything like that. It's just buys coming in. Okay, and somebody asking who the marketing manager is here. Okay, so let's see what's going on here in pin messages. So they got trending. Okay, so there's trending. Their chat's muted for a while. Don't be shaken. Basically, I guess, they saw a retracement, on the chart. This is sitting at 16K at one point. So let's see here, 16K at one point. And what's the market cap on this right now? 72. So at some point, this was sub 20K on this chart. And they're basically saying, hey, don't get shaken out. Don't let somebody go ahead, and shake you out of your bag. Don't panic sell. And obviously, for those that didn't get shaken out and they were still in at 16K, or maybe they decided to buy in at 16K, that would be what? At this point, they're up 4x or more, so keep that in mind. Anytime you're looking at a chart, and you've got to have, for some of these tokens, it's really good to have some conviction to be like, hey, I believe this is going to continue to move, and that's not always the case, but again, this is a good example of where having that conviction, would have led to some pretty decent gains. Okay, so yeah, I mean, they're doing some stuff, it looks like, in terms of trying to move this one, and we're still getting buys coming in, which is good to see as well. So this is one I definitely wanted to set an alert for. Even here, everything's green except for the 1 hour. We're looking at minus 27% on the 1 hour. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the alerts. And I've mentioned this on several videos. If I'm talking pretty quickly for somebody that may be newer to the space, the benefit of the video is you can always go back and review. Okay, so go back and review. I always encourage you guys to do that. All right, so here, this is going to be a go over. We're at 66K. Let me see. I'm probably going to be more interested in an under alert than an over alert. So we're going to start with the under first. So we're at 66. This is saying 67, so we're set at 67K. All right, so there we go. Goes over. Oops, we got to go here. Sorry. All right, under. And we're going to set this at, let's set it at 55. Okay. Oops. I got to remember. Got to always just use numbers in this area. Okay. So this is set for going under. We'll go ahead and we'll set an over, even though I'm not really interested in the over alert on this one. So we'll set it at, let's go 80K. All right. So there we go. And here we are. So, all right. So our alerts are set on that one. So we're going to move on to the next one. And here, so what is this? Failcoin. Failcoin is what this is. Failcoin. Okay. I can't really tell right here, so I looked up here, the Failcoin. There it is. Okay. So looking at this chart right now, we see that we've got some buy pressure maybe coming back to this. We got a pretty big buy over here over $1,200. So with that being said, but we've also got a couple of minuses here that concern me, especially on the 6 hour, which is minus 60%. So for this one, looking at this, it would only make sense to me on this one, even though we're sitting at 222, to see if it's, well, I don't know if it's going to make a lot of sense, either up or down. So let me go ahead and retract that thought right there. Let's just go ahead and let's check out the channel and see what's going on there before we do anything in terms of, setting any kind of alerts. This immediately, is a CTO, because you can see that up here in the title. So we're verifying. Okay, so we're in, and we can see that we just had a buy at 1136. Okay, so this is the Failcoin. Not really sure what's going on here. Okay, so let's see here. They got some information, message here. I'm the guy who started kickstarted the Dexscreener TG and X without knowing what I'm doing. Gone to sleep and left the keys to X to OJ to be taken over by somebody else. But it seems there were not many takers. I just had the X account retweet some bigger accounts. Okay, it's not rocket science, just retweet some good context. Okay, all right, so let's see, we got a video here. Okay, all right, let's see here. And just looking to see if, they've got anything going on in terms of trying to move this token, okay? So not really seeing that yet. And I don't really see any rating going on either, so. All right, yeah, so it's kind of an odd token, honestly, so, okay. So yeah, I don't know. But, I guess my big concern with this one is that I don't really see anything going on to move the token. There's a lot of random stuff, in my personal opinion at first glance. I didn't look at it, very intentionally. A lot of random stuff going on in terms of what's going on in the channel, and I don't really see, much community engagement. Now, my inclination on this one is that because you don't have anything going on in terms of trending, or anything going on in terms of community engagement to get more exposure, on this token, this is likely going to continue to retrace. So even though you're seeing, some buys coming in right now, what's our pattern? Our pattern has been just continued retracement, lower lows. And even though we've got buys coming in, I just don't think this is going to head back up, so. And now we've got minuses across 3 of these, okay, on the 5 minute, the 1 hour, and the 6 hour. So I'm going to set an alert on this one, but I believe this is going down. So I'm going over, going under, and we're at 215. Actually, let's see here, 228. 228, and I'm going off of 228, not from here, but from here. Okay, because remember, there's always a delay. So 228K, and we're going to set this at, I think this can obviously hit 100K in terms of retracement, so we're going to see. We're going to keep an eye on this one. Even though this is going up, I still think this is going to come back down. Now, again, that's just my own personal opinion, guys. I just went off on a rant, before, telling you, don't always, just believe or take what I tell you or what I'm communicating in these videos as an absolute. I could be wrong. We've seen this before in another chart, where I told you it didn't look like there was anything going on to go ahead and push it, and then I was right, so I could be right, could be wrong on this, but again, I'm not seeing anything in the channel that says this is going to be something that's going to continue to go up. But again, I could be wrong. So, but if you choose to go ahead and go into something like this, again, I've mentioned a couple of times on the video, you could always go ahead and throw a couple of bucks in. If it was me, that's what I would do. Okay, and whenever I tell you that, I'm operating as though it was me. Could throw a couple of bucks in and then, see what happens. And if it goes down, no big deal. Lost a couple of bucks, at least that's how I would go ahead and see it. But if it goes up, then obviously, gain is gain. So, okay, so we're going to go ahead and leave that one alone now. And then this one, this is Fartcoin Strategic Reserve. So this is interesting because so yesterday I saw this one actually on Pump Fun. And didn't look like it was going to do much, so I'm interested. I'm curious. It's curious that this one actually, hit radium, because I didn't think it was going to hit radium, and then obviously a bunch of retracement, so it hit some highs a couple of times here and here before it really just started to fall off. Now we've got a couple of, big minuses, here. Well, this was not huge, but obviously this, when you get to the 6 hour, minus 70%. So I personally think this is probably going to be toast, but again, you could go ahead and set an alert, for, let's say, I don't know, something like maybe 175, 200K. And that could indicate, a correction heading back up, so let's see what's going on in the Telegram on this one. So here we go. All right. Oops. What am I doing? Going back out there. Sorry. Okay. So there's our link. This is the CTO. Okay. So yeah, let's see what's going on here in the pin messages since we know we're getting buys already. Okay. And what's this? Okay. So this is confirmed, dev created, Fartcoin strategic reserve. Okay, fine. All right. They've got some community trending, the votes coming in. Okay. All right, so they're trying to engage the community as far as that's concerned. I don't even know what that is. Okay, and let's see here. This is still, okay, so what do we have going on here? This is from Soul Trending. All right, so they basically tell them to go ahead and work for their bags. All right, okay. All right, I mean, so there's some stuff going on. You got 16 messages, since we've been in this channel. So obviously, there is some activity going on, okay? So they're still trying to go ahead and move this one. So this is one where it might be interesting just to go ahead and set. So we move from the 3 minuses, now it's down to 2 minus, 1 minus on this. So let's set this one. The only thing that makes sense on this, not for retracement, but for it to actually go up, so we're going to set this one at 200K. 200. All right. And so our posted market cap here is 161. All right. So there we go. So I'm going, oh, actually that's 160. All right. So I'm going by the tab. All right. So we're going to create that alert, and there we go. So I'm going to exit out of this one. Okay, so here we go. And then this one actually looks like it's done. So I'm not interested in following this one. I mean, you got some big minuses here on the 1 hour and the 6 hour. Almost 90%, minus. There's no way this is coming back. So this one's done. Okay, and here, Soul Tube. This one, I don't really care for the chart pattern here. Let's go out to the 1 minute. And let's see what's going on. So you got a little, some buys coming in right here, but on the 1 hour, we're down over 50%. This one doesn't look that promising to me either, so I'm actually going to exit out of this one. And then this one too, a lot of sell pressure, on this one. It's just been sells, lower lows. You get a buy, some buy pressure here, just down, down, down. And this right here is just exit liquidity. I mean, this one here, so the 1 hour, the 5 minute, the 1 hour, and the 6 hour. So again, just heavy sell pressure, across the board, heavy minuses, so even though you get this buy right here, I personally think this is probably going to continue to head down. But again, if you guys want to watch this one on your own, you're more than free to do that. So this one's called Gnome. So remember, you can just go ahead and put the search in after you watch the video. And then if you want to go ahead and put an alert on this one on your own, like I said, you're certainly more than welcome to do that. I think this buy right here is probably going to be exit liquidity. That's just my own personal opinion. So, but with that being said, I think we're going to go ahead and call it on this video. Thanks so much again for watching. Again, this is day 13 of the series. And, again, keep in mind, this isn't the only channel, that is associated, with Investment Honey and Crimson Calls, so again, you got the X account, and you got all these links, in the description. So make sure that you go ahead and you check those out. And if you know somebody that's interested in learning more about Dexscreener and following along what's going on in the series, certainly share this series with them. Share the channel. If you're not yet subscribed, we got about 70% of people, watching this series that are not subscribed yet. So I certainly encourage you to subscribe, so that way you can turn on the notifications, get notified, when a new video comes out, because obviously some of this stuff can be time sensitive in terms of, what I'm covering, and then checking it out for yourself to go ahead and set those alerts and maybe, take an entry if that's what you choose to do. All right. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching again, and enjoy your Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. See you later. Bye-bye.